What is happening, YouTube family? It is your boy B New once again coming at you this morning. Just want to give you my thoughts on the game last night. I know TNT or whoever, ABC, I'm not sure whoever broadcast the games last night, but they put on the Houston and hell, I don't even remember. The game was trash. I didn't even watch it because all eyes were on the debut of Kyrie Irving coming back and joining the Brooklyn Nets with the newly acquired James Harden and Kevin Durant. So all eyes are on that. But unfortunately, that was not on broadcast television last night. That was not on any nationwide games. So for anybody out there who doesn't have League Pass or anything like that, or Fire Stick or whatever, then just know you missed out on a hell of a game. So I would suggest, if you don't get your League Pass, man, it's worth the investment. That way you can watch all of the games every night. That way you got games you can choose from that you want to watch. But anyway, so this Brooklyn Nets ordeal with Kyrie Irving. So I wanted to make a video yesterday, and I kind of hate that I didn't. And some of you may believe me, some of you may not. But I kind of figured that Kyrie Irving would come back to the mix and that they would probably lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're a worse team with Kyrie than without him. That's not what I'm saying. But it takes some time to get used to when you're adjusting with players. But the thing is, if you notice, James Harden joined the Brooklyn Nets. And when James Harden joined the Brooklyn Nets, it was like a seamless transition. It was no problem. Kevin Durant and James Harden played off each other. They knew who was going to take the shot and win, who wasn't. Even when they got into a situation in half court where it turned into just ISO ball, both of them were non-selfish and took turns, or whoever, they knew who was going to step up and who was going to hit the shot. But with Kyrie, with the return of Kyrie, it just didn't seem like they had that same fluid offense. They didn't have that same fluid offense, I'm going to tell you right now. And the biggest thing that jumps out to me, let me tell you, the biggest thing that jumps out to me is Kyrie Irving, you are the point guard. James Harden is the shooting guard. Shooting guard means scorer. Shooter, Kobe, Jordan, D-Wade, just whatever. Shooting guard, not point guard. So anyway, how in the world, this is the problem. I'm going to tell y'all the problem. Kyrie Irving had 28 shot attempts last night. 28 shot attempts. Do y'all know how many shot attempts James Harden had? Take a guess. James Harden had half of that. 14 shot attempts. So I'm just asking y'all, how in the world could James Harden have half the shot attempts than the point guard? So let's look at it like this. Kevin Durant got his 30 points, 8 assists, like 8 rebounds. And Kevin Durant has been doing really well as far as ball distribution, especially since he came to the Nets. He's averaging a career high in assists with the Nets. He's spreading the ball around. He's doing everything that he needs to do. Shouts out to Kevin Durant. He's having an MVP-like season. I'm not taking anything away from that. But then you look at your point guard, even James. James had, 20 points? Did he have another triple-double? I believe he did, like 20 points, 10 assists, 11 rebounds, or something like that. But I know for a fact he had over double-digit assists. James Harden had double-digit assists last night. And he's the shooting guard, not the point guard, Kyrie. So Kevin Durant had 8 assists. James Harden had 10 assists. How many assists did your point guard have? How many assists did your point guard have? Kyrie Irving had 3 assists. So that means he's not getting others involved. He's not getting others involved. If you're the point guard and you have 3 assists and you have double the shots of your shooting guard, then that's going to spell trouble. Now, James might not say it right away, but I know Kyrie and KD is cool, but James and KD, they go back like 4 flats on the Cadillac. They've been knowing each other a little bit longer, and they played together before. So I'm not saying there's going to be murmurings. I mean, it's way too quick to say, oh, they're going to be murmurings of them saying, you know what, we need to get Kyrie out of here because he's selfish. But maybe it'll be a conversation that they need to have. Maybe that's something Steve Nash needs to pull Kyrie to the side and say, listen, you are the point guard. I need you to distribute the basketball. I understand that you are a great scorer, which indeed I'm not taking anything from him. You are a great scorer. And maybe because he was back home in Cleveland, he felt he had something to prove. Because Sexton, let me get into that. Because Sexton will be forever linked to Kyrie. Because basically, he's Kyrie's replacement, as far as the draft. Like, Kyrie was already gone, and LeBron didn't have the luxury of playing with Sexton when he was drafted, because LeBron ended up going to LA. And I don't know if y'all remember this, but it was real funny when Sexton got drafted. I was like, oh man, that's a good pick, and I was already thinking LeBron might have been going to LA even a year before that, because it had been whispers that he may have been going. But it was so funny. Well, not funny, but to me it was made me laugh a little bit, because Sexton, he was so hyped up when he got drafted to Cleveland. He was like, come on, LeBron, let's go get it. It's time for a championship. I'm that missing piece. Let's go. And that's good. He got confidence in himself because he's a hell of a player. But I think the next day they was like, oh, LeBron is gone to the Lakers, or whenever it was. So he never got that opportunity to play with LeBron. I guess he wanted to be like the Kyrie to LeBron. And now that I look at it, even though it took him a couple of years to get groomed and get into his groove, it may have been good for LeBron. But at that point in LeBron's career, I don't blame him for making his move to LA, especially getting out of some place like Cleveland, although that is his home state, but we won't get into all of that. But the point is, Kyrie Irving and Sexton both wear the same number jersey. Both of them wear the same number jersey. But Sexton showed last night that he the real number 2, is what he showed, not Kyrie. So I feel like Kyrie was trying to do too much last night because he was in Cleveland. But I mean, Sexton hit so many threes over him. And Sexton, in the second overtime, outscored the whole Brooklyn Nets team by himself. Outscored the whole Brooklyn Nets team by himself. So as you can see, there is a recipe to beat the Brooklyn Nets. They won the first 2 games with Harden, and everybody wants to say, oh my God, they're going to be unstoppable. And then think when Kyrie get back, they think they're so unstoppable. And 1 game does not a season make, and 2 games does not a season make. But you can start to kind of get a feel for everything. And that was Kyrie's first game back. So we don't want to overreact to anything. But what I can point out to you is the Nets, like I said in the video before, they're going to lack length and they're going to lack defense. So pretty much, I know it went to double overtime, but Cleveland put up 140-some points. 140-some points. Who are you stopping on the defensive end? The Lakers right now is number 2 or number 3 in the league in defense as far as holding opponents' points per game. So the Lakers are holding teams, they're number 3 in the league in defense. Where's Brooklyn? Like 15th or 16th. So that won't win your championship. If you notice, all championship teams, even though they are good offensively, they hang their hat on the defensive end of the floor, and they take pride in being able to come up with stops when they need to. And what a lot of people don't realize, when you get a stop, when you get a turnover, that usually leads to fast break points and easy opportunities on the other end. So with that being said, Brooklyn, they in for some trouble, especially with Dinwiddie being hurt for the year. See, Dinwiddie is a good piece to have, but really they don't have a bench. They do not have a bench at all, and you could tell that last night. And even last night, your boy, who they traded, what's his name, with the big fro, for some reason my mind is not clicking this morning. Y'all know who I'm talking about though. He stepped up and played a hell of a game last night. He was probably upset he got traded, so he had something to show last night, and he played excellent defense throughout the game. And I missed the first half of the game. I didn't get a chance to see into the second half. And I noticed that Andre Drummond only played like 25 or 26 minutes, so I'm not sure if he got hurt. If he got hurt, and y'all know about it, I tried to search the web and see if I could find an article of him getting hurt. But I do remember him playing in the waning minutes, so I don't think he was hurt. But for whatever reason, his minutes, I know the Cavs only played 8 deep last night, but his minutes were down. Drummond only played 25 minutes, and that's who I thought was really going to destroy them. So they did all that with Drummond only playing 25 minutes. So that lets you know there is a recipe to beat Brooklyn. See, Kyrie can get his, James can get his, and KD can get his. That doesn't mean anything. You have to have role players too to win a championship. And I'm going to tell you what last night kind of reminded me of was LeBron first year in Miami with D-Wade and Chris Bosh. It was like in the waning minutes, he didn't know LeBron would be like, oh, should I give it to D-Wade? D-Wade, should I give it to LeBron? So they both, like, they had to learn each other. And I would, I don't want to make excuses for that Dallas series, but if you go back and watch it, you can see LeBron was playing real hesitant because he knew that was D-Wade's team, and I guess maybe D-Wade is his friend. He didn't want to step on any toes. And if everybody remembers, D-Wade had to go to him and say, yo, this is your team. We flow through you, and we need you to be the leader. And then after that, they won back-to-back championships. Let's not forget that. And until D-Wade knees went out, they might would have got a three-peat. But regardless of that, that's in the past. So what I'm trying to say is they're going to have to learn to who to concede to each other. And see, last night I even remember, Cleveland was winning by double digits in the fourth. And then Kevin Durant was just coming down, hitting three after three, raining shot after shot. He had 38 points. I mean, Kevin Durant is looking unstoppable, really, because he's so tall and can just shoot over anybody, and his stroke is just so smooth. Every time he releases, you just pretty much think that the ball is going in. That's what you think. So anyway, he was just raising up, hitting shot after shot. But then if you notice, when the game got close, all them shots just wasn't falling anymore. When the game, they brought them back, but when it got close, the shots wasn't falling. When it got close, James Harden shots, it wasn't falling. Even Kyrie blew a couple of bunnies down the stretch when it got close. So, and then I don't know if you all saw this or if anybody saw the replay or if they even touched on it on SportsCenter or anything like that, because I hadn't had a chance to watch any highlights or anything like that. But what I did notice is that, I just, when at the end of the game, when there was a foul, somehow, Sexton had lost the ball. They was up. They was actually tied. They were tied, and Sexton was going to the hole with maybe like 7 or 8 seconds left, and he lost the ball. He wasn't stripped, I don't believe. I think he just lost the ball. Brooklyn came up with the ball, and they were headed back down to the other end of the court, and Kyrie had the ball, and he elbowed Sexton in the face. It was a pretty hard elbow that dropped him, and they called an offensive foul on the court on Kyrie, which would have left like 2 seconds left for Cleveland, who could have called a timeout and would have had an opportunity to, advance the ball and draw up a quick play for a shot to have an opportunity to win the game without it going into overtime period. But the call was overturned after they reviewed it. I guess Sexton was kind of reaching in to try to steal the ball from Kyrie, but whether he was reaching in or not, Kyrie still elbowed him, and I feel like he extended that elbow just a little bit. And when you extend that elbow, normally that is an offensive foul. But I guess after much discussion, which, it took forever. I think the NBA used to do, I remember when the NFL first had replay, they had a limit. I don't know if they still do now because you never see it, but they used to have a little time limit down on the side to where you had 2 minutes to review this play. Nobody want to stop the action and go through all this, and then you giving teams additional timeouts and rest and things. You want to get the call right. I'm all for a replay, but don't take that long. Either it was a foul or it's not. Make up your mind, whatever you got to do. So they do a pretty good job back in Secaucus, New Jersey, of making the calls. But anyway, at the end of the day, that call was overturned, and I was like, what in the world? So they had to get it out at half court, and once they got it out at half court, Cleveland was able to tip the ball out, and the time ran out, and they went to overtime. And then I was thinking, and going into the first overtime, Cleveland is the young team. They're gonna lose, because they're young. Brooklyn gonna come out and do what they're gonna do, and they really came out in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the first overtime and just took over. And I'm pretty much, I thought, hey, that's it. At least Cleveland put up a fight, But next thing you know, that Sexton is the truth. He outscored them by himself. If you combine the first and second overtime, he outscored the whole Brooklyn Nets team by himself in those periods. And that's inexcusable when you got 3 superstars like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. So everybody was wondering who was going to take a back seat. Everybody was wondering who was going to take a back seat for the Brooklyn Nets now that they got this 3-headed monster. And we won't say that one game is everything, but I can clearly see that it looks like James Harden is going to be the one that's going to be taking the back seat, because Kevin Durant going to get his. Clearly, it's Kevin Durant team. James Harden, I think it could be his team because he's that good offensively. But at the end of the day, they all defensive liabilities. Kevin been playing a little better defense, But at the end of the day, you cannot give up that many points. And like I said, going back to the main point of the status is Kyrie Irving had double the shots of James Harden. How is your point guard having 28 shot attempts? Do you know how many points LeBron James would have if he put it up 28 times a game? So all you out there who think LeBron James couldn't be a scoring champ just because he only been a scoring champ once, that's because he's not selfish and he love to distribute the ball and he love to get his teammates involved. He didn't try to go out to be the scoring champ. And that's why he's going to finish still number one in scoring of all time and still top 5 in assists, even passing legends and great point guards of all time like Magic Johnson in assists. So imagine that. But anyway, we won't get into all that. I just want to point out to everybody, the Brooklyn Nets' biggest weakness is that bench. They have no bench whatsoever. I don't know what they're going to do about that. I mean, you got 3 great players. Maybe they need to stagger them some. I mean, at times, I would just let James run the point, pull Kyrie out, and stagger them at times and let them get plenty of rest because they're going to be playing a whole lot of minutes. And once you get into the playoffs and they got to play a whole lot of minutes because they don't have a bench, then that fatigue is going to start to set in, and then the Sharks going to see the blood in the water. And once them Sharks see the blood in the water, it's attack time. It's attack time. I'm telling you, the playoffs is a whole nother monster than this regular season, which we all know that. So anyway, got a long time to go before that. We still got All-Star break coming up. You know, we still got a lot of season left. So we won't get into all that. But what I will do is let you know, of course, as you all know, the Lakers will be playing the Bucks tonight on TNT, and that's going to be a game to watch. After the Lakers gave away a game to Golden State the other night, they gave away that game to Golden State the other night, and I think they're going to really want to bounce back from that. They had 2 days off again. Last time they had 2 days off in between, and they gave the game away. So let's just see, with 2 days of rest, how they can bounce back tonight. I look to see LeBron James really trying to go out and get his tonight, and I really think that kind of like the game, I think the last time they played Milwaukee was right before the pandemic had broke out, and the Lakers had beat the Clippers and Milwaukee all in one weekend. And LeBron James was looking like the MVP of the league. So I really think he's going to go out and have something to prove to the reigning MVP, Giannis, tonight. So that'll be a good game to watch. So everybody try to tune into that. Maybe if I'm not too busy later on, I can give you a pregame analysis of my thoughts of what's going to happen during that game. But I can share you one small piece right now. If the Lakers play like they played against Golden State, they definitely going to lose. I will say that. But I really think the Lakers is just far too deep. And that's the problem with Brooklyn, what I was just saying. They don't have a bench. The Lakers bench is deep as hell. So you got 2 superstars. And then, let me ask y'all this before I sign off. Would you rather have a team with 3 superstars and no bench, or would you rather have a team with 2 superstars and go 10 deep on the bench? Which one do you think is more a recipe for success and for a championship? So anyway, let that resonate on your brain. It's time for me to go handle some business. So once again, I just want to say right on to the real. Much love to y'all haters. I appreciate the support, everybody. Subscribe if you hadn't already. And we're going to keep dropping these NBA jewels on y'all every day. I'm giving you jewels, so use them as tools. Peace.